It is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We are in the beautiful natural setting, the heart of nature, taking in and soaking in all the beautiful spring sunshine, taking in the spring flowers and the cool breezes that are coming off of the natural glacial lake here behind us. And we are zooming in and focusing in to help all the beautiful empowered harmonizers today. And we're zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is really, how do you become happy after you've experienced such a profoundly life-changing relationship such as you see and experience with a narcissist, someone who is toxically controlling, so someone who is toxically critical, someone who is a pathological liar, someone who has made you feel disempowered. And really to get happy and really move on and become motivated and come into your own once again is really to understand, I would say, the core of what is making you unhappy right now. So oftentimes after the after effect, the ramifications or the results of staying too long with a manipulative individual, someone who is emotionally draining, is that of being chronically lonely, or a crippling loneliness that is the core of the unhappiness. Whether you feel it's created a physiological change in you is up to each individual, but basically if you are in a situation where you are chronically unhappy, you're experiencing chronic fatigue, you are feeling really sort of resultant an apathy, not feeling stimulated, not feeling inspired, not getting things done, you're not eating healthfully, you're not sleeping well, you're not going out and making relationships. These are an experience of being chronically, really the root of the unhappiness can be a chronic unhappiness, a chronic loneliness, and the isolation oftentimes that is experienced as a result of this, because the isolation is caused by you're organizing your feelings, your emotions, your choices, your self-concept, the reflection of yourself around a negative source, a negative internal locus of control. In other words, feeling like I don't have what it takes. I don't have power. I don't have the ability to be lovable. It's all built up on this, conditions that you are living by, the conditions that have been set, that have been programmed by this toxic individual. The feeling of being defeated, of feeling not good enough, the feeling of being less than, inadequate. You can't just be. You're in a very chronically unhappy state. And oftentimes, once again, this is caused most oftentimes by a crippling feeling of loneliness. So if that is the case, realize that, there's a social component to the depression or the apathy that is causing this. And so if you're feeling this as a result of kind of trying to heal through and work through a manipulative relationship or controlling, where you're unhappy because you've been criticized, you've been hyper-criticized, you're unhappy because you've been hyper-controlled, you're unhappy because you haven't been able to experience your own gifts, you haven't been able to follow up on your own choices, you haven't been able to make your own decisions, that it's always, you're kind of secondary by default because of this person and their need of grandiosity and entitled that, everything should go their way and that they should never be questioned. That's the problem with the narcissist, is that, they oftentimes don't feel like they should be questioned. You can't have a discussion with them. It's because I said so. It's really this sort of, I am the one with the power, and especially if there's a financial basis. It's, he who has the gold has the keys. I know we have a lot of viewers who have been really impacted negatively financially, and we're going to go into that in another video. But really the focus here is to how to get to a state of happiness as a result of being in a very toxic, controlling relationship with a malignant, personality disordered individual, such as we see with a covert narcissist, where you're constantly feeling like you have to make this other person happy, that you can only go so far in life because you're limited because you have to always make them happy. And I know in a lot of cultures outside of the US, this is very standard, particularly in China, Japan, where in those cultures, a lot of those people are very, group oriented. Individuation is not the core of happiness. In other words, I'm happy if I'm helping other people. There's a sort of a group think about these cultures. And so, but wherever you are, in the US, you have to look at kind of your motivating factor, and is it, do I need to, am I happy if I'm a success? In other words, is it because of my professional choices? Am I happy if I have a car, a dishwasher, a washing machine, deluxe furniture? I mean, what is it that, really kind of is your driving force, your driver, your motivation? And oftentimes people who are coming through or trying to work through these very toxic relationships, they don't know what their drivers are. They don't know what their happiness buttons are. They don't know what their happiness place is because they haven't been able to be there. They have an external locus of control. Their self-concept is based on how well they're able to take care of another or live up to another's standards. And then there becomes a real disconnect between, when they find out that they're lying, or that they're constantly trying to satisfy this person and they're insatiable, or they go and cheat with them, or they're chronically resulting to manipulative tactics, and someone eventually gets, they're sick of it. They can't handle this anymore. So oftentimes that can be the result of the need for a life change. So you need to ask yourself, what really makes me happy? Not, what does society tell me that really makes me happy? In other words, driving, a huge 3-ton, SUV, having a huge house, having a huge wardrobe, are these things that you're worth pining after, or what really makes you happy? And to understand also then what is making you unhappy, you need to ask yourself these things. Is it a sense of pervasive loneliness? Do I have a crippling loneliness because I'm not getting my needs met? And so it's to say, okay, then maybe there's a social component to the unhappiness, and then how can I get my needs met and satisfied in this way? So, if you have this pervasive feeling of disconnection from others, or you're lacking love, then it's time to say, okay, then I am unhappy because I'm feeling so isolated, because I'm feeling so disconnected socially from other healthy individuals, and that is a true and real need of mine, and I am now going to take it upon myself to go ahead and satisfy those needs, or to exercise. Maybe I want to, join a walking group, or start a walking group. Maybe I just want to go out and get out of the house. That might be the first step. I know a lot of viewers are so bewildered that they can never leave the home, and then their life becomes so small. They can't get beyond the 4 walls. They can't get out and about. They can't go to things like workshops or conventions or expos, or take classes, or join a religious, you might be interested spiritually in pursuing a religious support group, or something of that nature, and it's hard for you to make inroads to these places and these situations and satisfy your needs in these ways. So if you can identify this in the privacy of this video and say, perhaps part of the after effect or the ramification of being as a result of being in this relationship is to say, I'm really, really, truly unhappy because, and I'm now isolating myself, and this is not helpful to me. This is not in my best interest. It's causing me to sink even lower or regress even lower or become more and more unhappy day by day. So the goal is to understand what makes you happy. You know, is it to go out and see comedy? Is it to go to the zoo? Is it to, you know, go to a shelter? You know, what makes you happy on a tangible, you know, gritty sense? Is it getting your hands in rebuilding machinery, rebuilding cars? You know, what have you been putting off that you really love to do or that you need to do, whether it's going through papers or clearing out the garage or the basement or the attic or your bedroom, or, you know, getting things rebuffed up inside, painting, doing carpeting, getting new throw rugs, something that is of a new color scheme, so you've got kind of a positive new influence going in. You know, what are some things that you can do to kind of clear your path so that you're not feeling so blocked energetically? And if it's the crippling loneliness, if it's the isolation, and it's the anxiety, then it's saying, wow, you know, I have made my life, my world so small as a result of this relationship. In other words, you know, I have limited myself, I've painted myself into a corner, or I've painted myself under a rug, or I've basically put myself in the basement or the attic like a Cinderella, and I'm feeling like I'm the unlovable one. I'm the unattractive one. I will never meet a mate. I'll never be able to rise up and expand and grow in my life. That you know, I've literally, you know, limited myself in this way, and so now it's up to me to bring myself out of the basement, out of the attic, off of the couch, out from behind, you know, the kitchen. Cabinets, if you've been like overstuffing or over drinking, or, you know, sort of hurting yourself through negative thoughts, hurting yourself through negative foods, hurting yourself through negative drink, you know, the whole self-sabotage that is a result of like taking the baton from the abuser and then you go on and then act it in. So if that is a problem, you need to say, whoa, this is a problem, you know. Or if you know, you're over-deading yourself. Again, you're keeping yourself in that trap. You're keeping yourself stuck. You're not pursuing your goals. So then it's important to say, okay, these are, even if you want to say 3, 4, 5 areas of my life where I have really gotten myself into an unhappy funk because of this. So knowing that this dysfunction has caused part of the issue. You know, the issue is not to perpetuate it. The issue is to work through it and say, okay, you know, I am, you know, eating poorly, so I'm going to help myself there. I'm not getting enough sleep, and so that is what's causing the depression. Or I'm not, you know, I'm isolating myself. That is further, you know, putting me in a regressed state. And to identify these maladaptive ways that you have picked up unconsciously that you now need to become conscious of and say, you know what, it is okay. I can go ahead and have the boldness and the courage to make a change. And I'm going to bring myself to the places and do the things that bring me happiness and that bring me out. So whether it's, you know, making new friends, you know, going to places where you can reconnect with people on a healthy, supportive basis, maybe to begin. Maybe at your local church. There might be something on meetup.com where there's an interest of yours, or just beginning to, you know, pursue an interest and see if there's other workshops or groups where you can go out and connect. Or maybe you just want to be, you know, solo, but making a change in your life that is productive. And it's to realize, you know, what is making me unhappy and what is perpetuating this and what's the cause, and be able to admit, you know, in the privacy of this video now, this is really becoming a problem. And I forgive myself. I am forgiven. I'm forgiven by the universe. I'm forgiven by all the people who have, because, a lot of the problem is you feel unforgiven. You feel chronically shamed by these individuals, these dysfunctional relationships. And so you oftentimes, people don't move forward because they don't feel forgiven. They don't feel good enough. They feel, chronically flawed, toxically shamed. And so all that is sort of rippling through into your present life, but you need to stop the cycle and break that pattern, and then being able to say, you know, I am forgiven. The world at large, the bigger picture, forgives me, and it is okay, and so it is. And so now that I'm forgiven, I will go ahead and release that sort of feeling of being, you know, put down, shut down, not good enough. You know, now that I'm forgiven, I will. Now that everything is released emotionally, I will. And maybe it's having a good cry, maybe it's having a good laugh. You know, it's to understand what makes you happy, not what society or this relationship was telling you that you should do to become unhappy. You know, that you need to be happy. So it's up to you. It's to be generative, and it's to shine within, and then to be acknowledge and validate yourself there, not what society or someone else is telling you that will make you happy and really fulfilled. So, and it's oftentimes important to kind of unearth that, is to ask yourself the questions, okay, if money weren't an issue, I would really love to. If being good enough for people weren't an issue, I would really love to. If the frowns and the dissatisfactions of people and the abuse were not an issue, I would really love to. And then begin to answer these questions for yourself. It's to begin to ask yourself this, to come up with what you truly want to do. Maybe it's just even beginning with the, you know, I would love just to be relaxed. So that's a great place to start. Don't feel, you know, any place that you start is where you need to start. Even if it's being safe, if it's being humble, if it's feeling self-validation or self-esteem, feeling like you're validating yourself, or just being at peace with yourself. Sometimes that might just be a huge leap. Even though it seems like a tiny, minuscule little thing, oftentimes it's like a huge step in the right direction, and every adventure begins with one step. So it's saying, I need, you know, I can make that one step. And so just coming into a calm, at peace body, and then being able to make your decisions from that standpoint. So rather than being chaotic and angry and hostile and being berated and, you know, having all that confusion, is to say, okay, now why don't I begin my happiness journey right now? Peace and harmony, you are right. This is my new lease on life. This is my life. In other words, what I can receive now, what I can take in. And I am going to allow myself to receive the positive, the good, the healthy, in all the senses that I have. Maybe it's even just going out and breathing in the fresh air. You would not believe how gorgeous this grass smells right here. I mean, it is just, I'll just give you a little peek around. It's just absolutely smells so magnificent. I mean, all these, I don't even know, they're just, it's like wild grasses and such that just smell wonderful. And it smells so clean and pure, and it just is recharging. And you can take off your shoes and go earthing and walk through all this grass, you know, and you can just, you know, you can go on trails and you can get some good, you know, get good walking shoes on, and you can just, you know, begin to get your physiology going. This is an opportunity that you can give to yourself, where you can begin to feel happy within. And even if it's just coming from a more peaceful, coherent, centered state, that is good enough, because then your choices will lead you in the right direction. You won't be staying stuck. You'll be moving forward in as much as you can handle. So little by little, you can begin to make the choices and saying, okay, you know what, now I've always wanted to, you know, if fear were not an issue, I would really love to. And then you might say, I would really love to be creative in this way. I would really love to take a ceramic group, or I would really love to sew, or I would really love to be in theater, or I would really love to fix cars, you know, I would really love to fix planes. I would really be interested in trains. I would love to take a Amtrak journey or a train journey, or, you know, go and study a different culture. I mean, what are some things, if fear were not an issue, I would really love to? And if being shamed were not an issue, I would really be free to. If shame were not an issue, I would really be free to. And if I didn't have just crippling shame, I would really love to belong. In other words, what is my tribe? Where can I connect? You know, is it being more independent, autonomous, being more self-directed, self-governed, or is it become, you know, getting there and then being able to connect with others in that space? You know, where is your tribe? Do you need to begin where you are? Yes, you need to begin where you are, and that is okay. Even if it's little by little, you are facing in the right direction. And if you can face in the right direction and then walk in the right direction, you will be in the right direction, and you'll begin to experience all the things that you need, want, and deserve to have that make you happy and fulfilled. And oftentimes that is having a richer sense of your needs being met and being fulfilled in the process of having that purpose, of being liberated, of being freed up. Sometimes even just that can be enough. And to say, you know, I want to experience the sublime. I want to experience the magical. I want to experience the beautiful. I want to experience energy. I want to be more energetic. So these are things that, you know, just make a statement, but write them down. You know, while you're in the inspiration, while you're in it now, I want you to write it down, because then you'll be able to have like proof. You'll be able to have it brought out of you, and it'll become a physical situation. You know, I would love to have a puppy. I would love to have a kitten. I would love to fly a kite. I would love to play badminton. I would love to play volleyball. I would love to go find a sandy beach and just gaze upon the water. And this doesn't mean you have to do this for 8 hours. This is something you can do for half an hour. It doesn't mean you have to go and just, you know, go bonkers and be overwhelmed. This is an easy thing. And that this is a step in the right direction. But I want you to write it down. And these are going to be your 5 goals, 5 short-term goals. So just write them down. If I weren't so crippled by toxic shame and all the negative talk that I have encountered in my life, or the control, if I weren't so controlled by these, I would really love to. And then open up that can of worms. Open up that jar of jelly. Go ahead and go in and then begin to write these down right now. What are the 5 things that you would really love to do, be, have, become, and feel if you weren't so burdened or saddled with these heavy feelings? Okay? And I want you to go and do them. Get that bike out, get that yoga mat out, get that music out, get that broom out, whatever it is that you are needing to do, and just take action and allow yourself to be all action. Just move into it. You can have a very quiet, calm mind where your mind isn't chattering, your mind isn't ruminating, and you can just kind of empty out the mind and get clear and focused, unclutter all that sort of that chatter mind, and just begin to become all action. And even if it's a slow action, it's really the right spot for you to be, because then you'll become uncrippled, you will become healed, and then you'll be moving in that direction. You'll be, you know, getting the experience in, and it's all about having that experience so that you can then begin to move and expand your boundaries from that little small space that was making your life so constricted and tight. It's little by little opening up the hand, and then the hand is open for you to receive, and then the mind is open for you to receive, the heart is open for you to receive, and then you can begin to be more congruent in your true desires, your true needs, and you'll get into that self-actualized state where you're actually doing what you're supposed to, your purpose, your higher self, what the universe wants for you, who has forgiven you, who it's not your fault that you had, you know, gone through all this. It's not your fault. You've done nothing wrong. Release it open. Release the hatchet and begin to just breathe and exhale, and then begin to move in the direction of your desires, your dreams. Fulfill them. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.